It's time for another Dice Tower review with Randy White and Mark Streed.
Hello folks and welcome to Board Game Corner. I'm Mark.
And I'm Randy.
The Great Khan is dead, and the world of Retsu is plunged into war.
Such is the world of Golem Arcana, a new game from Harebrained Schemes. It's a miniatures game that uses an iOS or Android device to augment your gaming experience.
So, let's take a closer look at how this is played. Alright, this is a mini skirmish. It's called Countertop. It's a two-player game. Your stylus is here. It's pretty neat looking. You've got a big button for all your selects. This little button is for paging through menu items and so forth. And I'll show you how all that works. Here's the scanning end of the stylus, and then a rubber tipped end on the other end. And this allows you to use on your device if you'd rather use that as the touch. But in general, you really don't have to touch the device. There's a couple exceptions to that. If you want to zoom in or rotate the map and so forth, it's easier to do the pinch zoom like you're used to. So there's that. You have, you see here on the board how we have labels on everybody. So we've got a 1 and 2 and a 1. Well, they do provide flags of varying colors to add to the board, to your characters, I should say, that coincide with what you're seeing on the screen. So, and dice for rolling, which is great because I like to roll dice. And here's how you input your dice into the system. Now, you don't have to roll dice if you don't want to, which I can't imagine why you wouldn't. But what you do is you just click select, and it'll handle everything for you. You don't even have to roll dice. But where's the fun in that, right? So, and then you have a control card. This control card is pretty nifty. It allows you to activate several things. It has menu icons that might appear, and you just click those with the stylus to activate it on the screen. You activate Ancient One, look at maps, and your armies as a whole. All right, let's take a look at some of the terrain. You just tap the terrain to examine what it is and what it does. So let's go back to the middle here. So in the middle, we're looking at the hills, and they have a range bonus, which is pretty slick. So you definitely, as you're playing the game, you want to examine where the better place to move might be in that particular scenario. Okay, also, let's take a look at what this turn might look like. All right, no, we're not going to use Sand Viper. I think we'll use the Dune Viper here. So the Dune Viper has several things on his card, and you can tap all of these with the stylus, which is really neat. And I generally play that way by using the card instead of the base of the character, but you can do it either way. So the base of the character is clickable to do all these actions, or you can use the card. You can activate your knight, which I'll show you. It shows your stats and your different attacks, as well as your walk speed and so forth. So let's have Viper take his first turn. So we'll click his card, which will select him, and we're going to click walk on his card. Actually, let's take a look at that closer. So clicking Viper, click the walk on his card, and then we will click the terrain and say, yes, I do want to move there. And you'll hit select and to confirm, and then you will move to that spot. All right, so now he still has 5 action points left, as you'll see in the upper left of your screen. What you can do then is you can check, some additional things here. So let's see if we can attack. Let's look at the spiked volley, which is a pretty nice one. We'll click that. Then we will click the base of the opponent and say we want to confirm this spiked volley. Now this is where it comes into play that if you hit select here, it will just roll for you. But like I said, where's the fun in that? So let's roll dice. So that gives me a 37. And as you can see in the stats, it gives you a grouping of where you might need to hit, might need to roll to hit him. So In this case, we're going to take our dice and we're going to input 37. Tap the dice card. 3, 7. Here we go. And attack. And he'll take 14 damage right out of the gate. So let's kind of have a basic move and attack might work. Let's look at a few other things. Okay, player 1 still has some action points he can work with. So let's take a look at what your knight might do for you. So on Viper, you can see, there's a knight, and basically all the characters have knights that control them. Usually they're riding somewhere on top, or they might be holding a chain, directing them. So on your character card is the little knight symbol. So if we click, it'll bring up some information on Dune Viper's, on his particular knight. In this case, it's a sprinter. He has a passive ability in this instance. If this knight's golem starts in a region with no cover, it always gains 1 movement. So that's a pretty nice one because you don't have to activate it. It's always working. Other knights have abilities that you would activate. All right, so real quick too, here's the page system. So the pager button is located again just below the select, and you just click it and it'll give you the different options of this character. So Dune Viper, click it, gives you all of them. Click it again, you see walk and spike volley, slippery strike, and then there's the knight again. So the interesting thing is that if you notice, we'll go back to Spike Volley, it now says that Spike Volley is 4 action points to activate, where on your card it says that it's 2. That's due to the fact we just used it. And there's a cooldown phase for all your powers, movement, and abilities. Now in the base set you get 2 armies, but there are additional ones currently available. They do have plans for many more, so these worlds can be expanded greatly. Now, one of the things we didn't talk about was this glowing token that you probably saw earlier. It was in the corner of the playing field, and it's mana. So mana is used with your ancient ones, which is basically the deities. They have all kinds of spells and things they can throw out on the battlefield. You know, curses and blessings, and you have markers for those as well. And these characters are just beautiful. I mean, the detail on them, they're all pre-painted, just fantastic. That's definitely a selling point for me, since I am not anywhere remotely skilled in painting characters. Okay, there are lots of things I like about this game. There's some downsides, we can get to those, but I think overall, the miniatures are amazing.
They are.
The
Absolutely.
board, the graphics, all that just aid to suck you in. And I really do enjoy the app and the interaction there. One of the things I don't like about the app, though, is the fact that, at least initially, my focus moves from the board almost solely to the app.
Right.
And that's probably just in tune with probably learning it. I suspect that's going to be a thing until you get a better feel for the game and understand how all the abilities work for each character. So that's a little bit of a downside for me. Being more of a board game guy, I want to focus my attention here. But It's so nice that the app calculates everything. And again, there's so much to this game. We don't have time to really show you everything. We just try to hit some of the main points. Those are just some of the really nice things about this game, and I like the fact that I still get to roll dice. I don't have to rely on the app to do that. So, but if you want to, you can just bypass that. So those are great things. I think the army builder, which we didn't really even touch on much, it's really nice. I wish that there was a scenario builder built into it. I wish that you could click the cards, but for me that's not a huge detriment because I can have the cards on hand and build my army by looking at the pictures. And I think you have
I have a different opinion on that.
But overall, those are the things I really like. And I love that the world is so expandable that, in a year's time, we could have just a ton more to do, more players. It's just so open-ended is fantastic. And we'll touch on some of the things they haven't planned coming up in our verdict.
Right. Now, I do agree with Mark on the beauty of the components. The components, the artwork on the cards, the playing mats themselves. The mats have a slick, almost plastic finish to them, so they look like they're very durable. Agree with all those things. I also like the fact that there's a tutorial that gets you started. It covers most of the details of the game. It also provides enough background that you feel like there is some degree of theme to it. You feel there's
I would agree.
There's wars going on,
and you're just part of one of the many battles.
Exactly. So those things do provide enough color and quality to the game that it really attracts you. However, Mark mentioned the army builder. There are several things that I struggled with here. This is a game that's in the gray area between a miniatures game and a video game. And it's a gray area because your expectations might differ from what they've actually delivered.
Very true.
I come from a video game past where my expectations are if you have to read the manual, then they've written it incorrectly. Now, you don't have to read the manual here, but you do have to do the tutorials in order to understand what's going on.
Tutorials,
So that's one of the issues. I have some issues with the limitations of the army builder. So, for example, they will give you a selection of 15 characters to add to your armies, even if you don't own those 15 characters. So if you only own 6, you still have to figure out which ones are yours and which ones are not.
Yep.
You can build armies that have overlapping characters, and when you choose one, they won't tell you that this other one isn't one that you can choose.
Right.
Mark mentioned that they won't let you build scenarios, so I'd like to muck around with this and just create my own layout and go to war with 2 battles or 2 armies. As it is right now, they won't let me do that. And they won't let me put red characters on 2 different sides and battle with them because red guys are all supposed to be on the same side. So I have some issues with that. As far as replayability,
but it does go to the theme. I mean, it's the
it does, but it doesn't let me have rogue characters join the other side like that. So that does impact replayability, as does the fact that right now, when you buy the base game, and if I'm just reviewing the base game, you only start with two armies of 3 characters each. Yep. So even though they do provide some scenarios, I think the replayability is limited.
On the base set, you really have to expand your world to really get a better feel for it.
Right, and so this is like a Magic the Gathering starter deck, if you want to think it like that, which is good in itself, but the replayability is limited. You need to buy expansions to really get more out of it. And we hope that they do. I mean, even though I don't like it as much as Mark does, I think they have an opportunity here to build a great and very elaborate world here, which people will get hours, if not years of play.
Exactly, Now to our verdict. So I had a chance to see this in action at Gen Con 2014, and it really gives you a sense of how huge and expandable the worlds can be. So for me, this game really gets a 3 out of 4 corners.
Okay. I liked it a little bit less than Mark. I'm giving the base game a 2.5 out of 4 corners, but there's an asterisk by that. As we add expansion packs to this, and as they make enhancements not only to the software as well, the army builder and the scenario builder, and allow us to do things like our own custom scenarios, that figure is likely to go up to 3 and maybe even 3.5 corners out of 4. My one remaining issue is the fact that as I play the game, and it's something Mark mentioned before, is I spend so much time looking at the iPad that I'm missing the amazing board here.
And I feel like that's the only real downside for me. That's the big one.
And so I think miniature gamers may find that a distraction and may have an issue with that, but the technology is amazing, the pieces are amazing, and I'm looking forward to what they do with it in the future.
Yeah, in the future, they have some great things in store. So they have random encounters that they're going to do as you land on squares that are going to have potential story threads that lead together to other random encounters. Those are some of the things that make me excited to see this game just expand and become bigger. So that's our review this week. And so until next time, we'll see you at the table.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.